Welcome back, everybody. Couch Casuals MMA presents UFC 297 post-show, slightly delayed, but we're here, we're ready. We're talking about a great UFC card. My co-host, my baby, my beautiful man.
Robert Dylan Vasquez, what's up, you guys?
Robert, wasn't this the greatest show we've ever seen as UFC fans?
I mean, now when you say greatest, that is an opinion, and you're right to your opinion.
That's an opinion.
I'm definitely sure that some people are right there with you. People who might have never seen the card, quite like that, or some fights that were, just barn burners, just hidden under the rug of lackluster performances. You're lying. Okay, you're lying. You're lying. It was not. It was not the greatest.
It was a terrible card.
God.
It was like one of the worst I remember in a long time.
Card-wise, like
in a while.
Because, like I said, there were some okay ones, some barn burners, just hidden under many just
a lot of crap.
Just
like I don't fully remember. I mean, I think even the pre-show was kind of dull.
Mm-hmm.
I only saw one of the pre-show fights, and that was Katana losing, and that was kind of a dull affair.
Mm-hmm. And
then we're like, all right, main card's coming on, and let's be honest, I think everybody looked at this card and was like, this is all right. This is a card,
meh,
and I think that we'll go right into the first fight. I think Arnold Allen and Movsar Evloev was a decent fight. It wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing.
Okay, so something happened in that fight, pretty significant, and I want to ask your questions and your thoughts on it. Movsar is being held in like a front headlock by Arnold Allen.
Yeah.
And he knows, like, okay, all I have to do is put my hand on the ground, and I'm a grounded opponent. But it was getting to the point where Arnold was like lifting him up and kneeing him.
Yeah, that was I remember that now.
It's
That's
tricky.
Really interesting. Like I don't know how you rule that.
Well, because it's a athletic commission's rule. They created it, but
what did they say? What was like the official?
They got to change it. Like they not the result of the fight, not the outcome of the fight, but they're
going to outlaw that.
I don't know how they're going to work around it. He said fix it. The head of the athletic commission said we're going to fix it. So I'm not sure.
Because like you said, at first he's not a downed opponent, right? Then he goes to put himself as a downed opponent, and Arnold lifts him up. It's like the most hairline, like
dude,
on the line
kamikaze
you can get.
Kamikaze dude, like. Oh, I'm down. Oops, I'm not. Knee to the man.
Yeah, it was. I remember seeing that thing. That's pretty brutal, but like I didn't think anything of it. I don't know how you call that one.
Regardless, my pick, Movsar, he survived. So
it was a close fight. It was a solid fight. No, I mean, anything that stood out to you about the fight other than that sequence, like it's just kind of a close little fight.
I think it set the tone for how the rest of the night was going to go overall. You have your like, okay, when I saw that, when I make my picks initially and then I look back at my verdict, shout out to Verdict, go download the app on your iPhone or Google store, whatever.
Promo code CCMMA, you get an extra 10 experience points on your first free card.
For sure. When I look back, I'm like, man, I picked 5 or 4 decisions. Like, this is, like, you can't bank on that. You don't know how the night is going to go. But lately, I'll quote...
That card you could.
I'll quote a fighter of mine, one of my favorite fighters, actually, Jorge Masvidal. He had a resurgence back in 2019 where he, 3-0? 3-0 that year? Where he goes, he went on this game show, this reality show, for those of you who don't know, and there was no cell phones. You had to like survive. It was kind of like Survivor, but like just survive. And he had like an epiphany. He's like, I'm losing all these close decisions. All the fights that he was losing very seldom did he get finished or just blown out. It was
just
like
decision, right?
split decisions at that. So he had this like awakening. He's like, I gotta go and I gotta kill these motherfuckers. Not literally,
Yeah.
they're.
I gotta, yeah.
And I
gotta finish the fight.
Well, I don't feel like people are like they're not out there trying to do that. They're out there. Well, okay, well, may the best man win, and I'm gonna point fight you a couple times, and then they're losing like an Arnold Allen or like the next fight, and it's just like they're upset, and it's like, bro, you didn't go out there to scrap, to fight, to if you lose a decision that way and you gave it your all, okay, cool. But
that's one thing, yeah.
If it's the end of the third, end of the fifth, and you're not like resting on the cage, exhausted, bro, what did you do? What did you give?
You need I agree with that. There's not a lot of that anymore, and It could be the mentality thing. It could be like the fact that a lot of these guys the talent levels are so high. You're kind of afraid to just let loose into somebody, because like you could easily get that fear of getting knocked out yourself has got to be there.
Sure.
Which for Jorge, he had never been knocked out up until Kamaru, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he had never been actually KO'd.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just weird, and a lot of these fights kind of felt that way. The next fight definitely felt that way. They just it felt like a slightly faster spar.
That's what Dominic Cruz was saying. On to the next fight. Shout out to my boy Mavsar. You have Chris Curtis, and then who did he fight? Who was that guy?
Marc-Andre Barrios.
Okay, so spoiler alert: the Canadian men went 0-7 in Canada.
That's terrible. That's rough.
Show up for your dudes.
Not a single Canadian won. That's insane.
I think some.
What are the odds?
I think some Canadian girls won, but Canadian dudes 0-7.
Like, what are the odds of that even happening? Especially when you got a couple of the dudes were favorites.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
that's insane.
I couldn't tell you, bro. I really couldn't tell you. So you get into this glorified sparring match, and Dominic Cruz said the same. It looks like, it looks like he wasn't even hitting that hard, and Chris Curtis tried to clap back on Ariel Helwani, like, you should have been on the other side of those punches. I was hitting him hard, and it's like, okay, you were hard sparring. There was no tenacity. There was no killer instinct, and it's like, you gotta go. And I've never been in the octagon, boxing ring aside, jiu-jitsu mat aside. I've never been in the octagon. So I'm not one that's going to be like, hey, you should do this and you should do that. But watching as many fights as I have, and you even watching as many fights as you have, when the guy wants to go out there and perform. A la Michael Chandler. Dude, a la Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is a decorated wrestler out of Mizzou. Shout out to Mizzou.
So rarely wrestles.
I mean, why? Do you want to entertain?
On a side note, I saw a video pop up on my feed. I haven't watched it yet, and as much as I love Michael Chandler, it's so accurate. It said Michael Chandler has to have one of the lowest fight IQs because that man just goes in there to bang.
Of course, and he's doing it with the wrong guys to bang with.
Yeah, oh my God.
You don't go to war with Dustin Poirier. You don't go to war with Justin Gaethje. You don't go to war with Tony Ferguson, but that ended up benefiting him.
Yeah, big time.
And so you have this guy, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you have this guy who has all the accolades to just go out and put on a snooze fest. Yeah. A guy who can take a hit but just keep on wrestling, but he's like, nah, I can throw fists too. I can throw
I'm
bombs.
an entertainer. Yeah, I want to fight wars. I want to fight these memorable fights that even if I lose, and as somebody who's lost more fights in the UFC than he's won, he's still considered a top guy to some degree. Maybe not like a top guy, but like people want to see Michael Chandler fight.
Well, who's he fighting next? Allegedly. Yeah. Who's he fighting next?
Conor. He's got Conor because he's the most entertaining guy on the card half the time.
You have these other guys. They're going out there and they win a decision performance, and then they call out Conor, or they submit the guy in a boring wrestlefuck fashion. They're like, I want Conor or I want the title fight. It's like, nobody wants to see you fight.
No, you can't. It's like Bilal Muhammad trying to call Conor out. Like, no one wants to buy that fight. No one. What do you think you are, bro? This is entertainment business more than it is a fight business.
You can't just be a decision machine. Now, if you're going and wiping the floor with these guys, cool, but people don't remember those.
If your goal is to be a champion, first and foremost, fine. You know, if that's like, you don't care about the fame, you don't care about the money, you just want to say, I was the best fighter, I was a champion, then I get it. But like, if you want that money, if you want that fame, if you want to be the top of the card, selling out arenas, you got to put on a show. It is what it is.
I had a jiu-jitsu partner, Lucas. Shout out to Lucas. Lucas, he went to this school, and we ended up rolling with this like top tier guy who was like in the military stuff, Green Beret. And he was invited to open mat. And he tells Lucas, he goes, your sensei, your Sifu, he's training you to survive, not to kill. And so I question the mentality of a lot of these fighters. Are you training to just, hey man, I did the cardio, I did the little mitts, I'm in there for 15 minutes regardless. Like, I'm surviving. I'm not getting finished. I'm with the top tier fighters of the world, and I didn't get KO'd. I didn't get submitted. Okay, cool. But did you do that to them? Or, you know,
right.
like, are you training to survive or are you training to kill? And I don't mean to be brutal. It's not I don't want a caveman mentality on the sport.
Right.
But these guys, I guess they feel entitled, or then their call outs, and it's like, bro, you didn't really impress anybody. And that's coming from a casual, yes, but imagine
put on a show.
Imagine if we were even more novice on the sport. Or imagine how brutal our takes would be of like, no, I don't like him. It's like, why? It's like, he wins, he just doesn't win. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Look at the Instagram comments on any post ever, and you're gonna get it.
You're gonna get the filthy milk of the sport. Yeah. Before we go on to the next fight, I want to talk to you about the filthy milk of the sport. Jon Anik is under fire.
Oh my God.
For his recent comments. We can save that for the main event, but I figured now would be a good time to talk about the fair weather fans and how they affected Jon Anik. Let's just not spoil it too much. The card didn't go a lot of people's way in the main event.
Yeah.
And so they got
a close fight.
Hashtag robbery. Hashtag this sport sucks. And then the commentary team is under fire for bias, for calling it kind of like it is, and being observant. They're right there, dude. Nobody's closer.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, my fighter didn't win. A close fight, robbery. Everyone that thinks otherwise, you don't know fighting.
So
my opinion is fact.
Jon Anik has a podcast with Kenny Florian, the Florian Anik podcast. They're more than welcome to tag team with us anytime, or tag team.
Couch Casuals always ride with Jon Anik.
Tag team against us.
Does.
Shout out to them. But he had a take, and he's like, I could go. He didn't say it like this. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I could go do football. Like, I don't have to be around this toxicity. I don't have to deal with these guys who think they know what they're looking at. And basically called MMA fans out for being some of the worst kind of, like those kind of fans. Not all of us, but those are like kind of the worst kind of fans. The loudest.
They really are. They're bad. It's like every other card now. It's not just this one. It's every other card. Robbery. Like, bro, when's the last time we really saw like a full-on robbery? There's definitely been some, but when you use that word every other card, it no longer has meaning. It no longer is valid. Like,
it's gonna dilute it for sure. It's gonna dilute the word, and you don't need that. There's this new trend that's going out, and I know you've seen it because we've talked about it. there's an MMA script going around where where it's like kind of, I love WWE and wrestling as much as the next guy, but to have a UFC script, it's just preposterous. And that's part of the joke. I'm not saying that memes go over my head, but there are people in the comments.
I really believe it.
Dude, it drives me
It's
insane.
insane. It's insane.
Because anybody can fight. My 79, 80-year-old grandma can fight. Anyone can fight. That's what we do. We fight, we fuck. Music is pretty universal. There are things that all of us humans do. And when you have those capabilities, everybody gets an opinion about it. Not everybody can be in the NFL. Not everybody can be in the MMA scene. Or in the NBA scene is what I meant to say. So when you have a guy who's 15 or 16, nothing going on in his life, 6 to 10 years, he could be a pretty good fighter if he devotes his time to it. Whereas you can't really do that with other sports. You got a 125-pound guy. He could be champion of the world at 125 pounds. He's not going to go be defensive end for the Lions.
No, it's impossible.
So you just have, I guess, a broader opening or a wider door to go in.
Yeah.
And so my question to you is, why do you think the fans are so fickle? Why do you think they're as fickle as they are?
I just think it seems to be spreading to everything nowadays. Like, everything is a conspiracy theory. Everything's like fake. Everything is it didn't go the way I thought it would, or I think it should have. Oh, that's rigged. That's fake. That's false.
Fixed.
Sometimes your guy doesn't win.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just happens, and even in close fights where you think the other guy should have won, that happens a lot. It's still a close fight, and it is coming down to three people's opinions as to who won one different round. And like, I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect way to judge the UFC or a fight. It's impossible. It's like, it's so subjective. And with that subjectivity, there's always going to be room for someone to say that it's rigged, or it's someone to say that they picked their favorite that night or whatever.
Anyways, on to the next fight. We differed again because we both had Chris Curtis, and what a performance by Chris Curtis.
Amazing.
Next fight, you had Neil Magny versus Mike Mallet. Is that how you say his name?
I think so. This was a pretty solid fight. This was like one of maybe like the second best fight on the main card.
Sure.
Like it was pretty good. Again, it kind of just got weighed down by how much doo-doo was around it. Like it wasn't great enough to like if they were trying to climb out of quicksand, they weren't good enough to get out of the quicksand of the rest of the card, except for the main event.
But if you were nodding, if you were nodding off, it was like, hey man, you gotta wake up and see this. So
wake up! This was pretty good.
You rub your eyes and you're like, oh okay, yeah, sure.
I mean, Mallet had a really good fight right up until the very end.
He had a great fight for 14 minutes. Great fight.
And then like very end of the third round, Neil Magny, who's even though he was losing the other rounds, he kept the composure. He kept this like, I'm still in this. I can still win this fight kind of vibe, if you know what I'm saying. And then he just waited for Mike to mess up and get tired. And what did he do? Mike went for did he go for like a choke or like a armbar or something? He kind of overextended himself, and then Neil was able to end up on top and just fucking rain hell on him.
He was catching Neil in a whole bunch of bad situations, and he would get into Neil's guard, and Neil just wouldn't be able to move. And so his top game presence was just so dominant and fire. And you want to say like, okay, Neil, just get up. Not, as a casual, like, Neil, like, you've been here before with way more decorated wrestlers. What are you doing? And so I think I don't want to say Neil was playing possum, But he's just like, okay, well, how much does this kid got? Which is a very dangerous game when you only have 15
It's very
minutes.
dangerous. It is. But I mean, it was a gamble that played off.
In the last minute, he gets on top of him.
Oof.
Last really 45 seconds, 30 seconds.
Yeah, it ended at 4:45. So it was like, if Mike could have held on, if he could have just moved and dodged. But like, when they put that camera on him after the fight, he was out. Like he was.
What I was talking about earlier about resting, you could see he's just laying there and he's just breathing, and that's all he's doing is just breathing, and you're just like, you feel kind of bad because you're just like, man, he really
gave it his all.
He gave it his all. He had, I don't remember if I heard the clapper or not, but I might have like.
That's at 10 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually at 10 seconds, so no, it shouldn't have gone off.
Bro, I was like, get his ass, get him now, get him.
I was sitting there watching the clock while he's getting his face beat. I was like, just hold on for a few more seconds. And the ref called it. I think I initially was a little upset. And then when I saw his eyes laying there, I was like, okay, you know what? There's no, the dude was gone. Like he had nothing left.
Dude, shout out to Canada. They got some gnarly fights. And whether you think this next fight was gnarly or not, it doesn't matter, because this is the fight that Canada deserved. And I don't have too much of a shtick, too much of a, I guess.
Sounds like you're not a fan of Canada.
Listen, you go up north and you go down south, and I'm right here in the good old US of A. Shout out to my boy Colby Covington. Shout out to my boy Donald J. Trump. If you want to get a discount code better than CCMMA, go to DraftKings.com and sign Donald J. Trump.
Oh wait, no, just CCMMA, guys.
Just
Right
CCMMA for.
Can't see it very well, but it's behind me
for a mystery discount.
We don't know. You know, I tried to put it in the other day and it said page not found.
It works, all right. It works. I signed up and everything.
I mean, it's supposed to work, but
maybe it's too
even
much.
If it doesn't work, the meme is just.
Oh, it's the best.
It's too good now. But yeah, code CCMA.
And you could have. Go ahead.
Mega discounts. I think you get a full $1,000 bet for free if you use our code.
I think you have to use it on a parlay, which leads me to the co-main event: Maeda Bueno Silva versus Raquel Pennington. Now, this is the doo-doo you were talking about.
This was the turd on top of the turd, you know, like yeah. This was that one turd that floated above the water in the toilet.
I disagree.
This is the one.
I disagree.
Really?
You know how you have like beaver dams and stuff like that? You have the solids, so the bloop bloop solid, yeah. And then like the bloop last little solid, and then you have the floodgates.
This is the flood. I get it, yeah.
Even
the floodgate can like mound up above the water. And I think this was like just. So can we, before we even get into the fight, did you notice Myra's, like her facial expressions during Bruce Buffer's announcement of her name? Like looked like she was in pain the whole time.
And maybe she was, but she got kind of hype when he said her name.
She finally got hype, but she was like, like it was just like we were all sitting there, kind of like, what is she doing?
What's going on with this chick? Man,
and man, it just.
Now this fight, it wasn't just a 5-round co-main for an interim. It was for the chip. I don't know what's going on with Juliana Pena. You know, you have a vacant belt ever since Amanda Nunes left. And Amanda Nunes is in the crowd, which...
Watching this, yeah.
You go starch the other girl, you're like, okay, I guess I can come back. I guess staying at home and being a mom is cool, but there's still...
Why would she... But this fight, like, you showed why this was her division for so long.
Yeah. And I don't know, I'm not counting her pockets or anything like that. I know she's not like a stupid huge pay-per-view draw, so it's like there's money to be made. But you go out and you watch this slop fest of a fight, and you're just like, okay, there's a lot of clinching, which you know how I am, when it comes to clinching with no direction. Clinch forward, clinch with a game plan, dirty box a little bit.
We're just holding on just to hold on.
There's none of that. There's no progression.
I mean, the fight was like we said, it's dull. Not a lot happened. Can I pull? I just want to see what the stats were. Let me see if I can pull them up here.
Sure.
So Raquel had a lot of significant strikes. 134 significant strikes, 265 total strikes. Mayra Bueno Silva, 69 significant strikes.
And
that really, I feel like all of her significant strikes had to come in like the first two rounds because she was exhausted by the third.
Dead. She was doing that thing where she's like laying in her guard and she's like kicking up, and Raquel is just sitting there kicking at her legs. I'm like, stand her up. And as a fighter known for her boxing, no, what is it? What is her name? It's not Rocky, is it? It's Rocky. Raquel Rocky Edwards.
It's Rocky. That's
Rocky Edwards. Raquel Rocky Pennington.
Pennington. Yeah.
Stand her up and beat her ass, dude. She's dead. She's tired. Was she gonna clinch you? Get her off. Okay. All right. Never mind. I'm going too hard on these women. But
it's just like this was such a dull fight. It just was bad. It was not a championship fight. It was barely deserving to be a 5-round fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't even want to really, I'm not even gonna shit on Raquel because like she did her thing, but Mayra she had no business being in that cage. None.
And I don't know if she had went to 5 rounds before. I think they had maybe said it during the podcast, the broadcast, that I think it was the second time that either of the ladies had been in a 5-round fight. So it's like you're managing your efforts and you're managing your energy, but man,
it looked as if like she had never been in a 3-round fight. So like, what are we doing? I do want to bring up the UFC, the bantamweight rankings, because like obviously Juliana Pena's like should be the next contender.
Sure.
The only person to beat Amanda. And the only one with any kind of star power, like love her or hate her, she kind of has that like it factor.
Sure. She's pretty. She's got the heel, kind of can't really talk trash, but will anyways.
And she beat Amanda. So like she should get it next. But after that, like you have Ketlin Vieira. I don't know who that is.
You do. You've seen her fight before.
I'm sure I have. Just by name, I don't recognize it. Irene Aldana at 5.
Like
she looked terrible against Amanda, but then she put on Fight of the Night at 296 in a really good slugfest and won. Holly Holmes tied for 5th.
Holly Holmes busy though. Holly Holmes busy. She got a big fight on her hands.
Yeah, there's that. You know what? That is such a good point. I didn't even think about that because there's without Amanda in the. Is it at bantamweight? It's at bantamweight, right?
It's at bantamweight.
She's coming in at a perfect time because like she could be injected into the main event if she beats Holly Holm.
Mm-hmm.
I could see her. She's fighting for the title her very next fight, and I don't think it's like there's no even question about it. She could come in and this could be her division. We'll see. And for those that don't know, we're talking about what's her name? I can't even remember.
Kayla Harrison.
PFL megastar. Too bad we could never get the Amanda Nunes fight, but like if she gets the title, you think Amanda would come out of retirement for that fight?
It depends on how long Kayla holds it, because she's not gonna win one fight and call it the GOAT of the women's bantamweight division. No,
but I'm saying I think Amanda wanted to fight Kayla back a couple years ago. So like if Kayla wins, does Amanda say I want that fight? That's a money fight I'm willing to get back in the cage for.
It depends on if Kayla Harrison goes out and snooze fest Holly Holm. If you go out and you beat up Holly Holm, okay, cool. You belong here. You're right there in the upper echelon. But if you go out there and you grapple, because we've seen this before. A lot of people forget it was down in Australia. You have Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey. Now Ronda Rousey, I know how much you love her. Rowdy Ronda Rousey. If you look at her background, it's a bronze in judo. Kayla Harrison is a 2-time gold, like, Olympic champ in judo. So it's like, okay, I beat Ronda with this game plan. I can beat Kayla with this game plan because I have even more experience in the octagon at 135. Kayla Harrison's going to look like Zombie Island on that scale. She's a 155er in the
She's
PFL.
A big girl. She's big.
She's not supposed to be that small.
I'm not. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but
She could be drained, and so
she's going to look small on that scale.
Gonna get head kicked, and she's gonna get. I got Holly. I'll go ahead and tell you this early. I got Holly. This whole resurgence of Kayla Harrison. She lost to a PFL scrub that she fought 4 or 5 times because there was no one else to fight. So if you fight somebody 4 or 5 times, that person's gonna figure you out, and she got figured out. She lost out on $1 million check. Now, she has made a lot more money than a lot of the women in the UFC.
Yeah, she's made a ton of money. PFL gives out big money to those winners.
They lose a lot of money as well. And they just acquired Bellator, which is a dumpster fire of money. But see, I think that Kayla could go out, beat Holly, get the title, defend the title, and then maybe Amanda comes back. But you got to be putting on these performances. You got to be starching these ladies. You got to have a run.
The thing about the Holly Holm fight is, like, I don't see her going out and doing what Ronda did and trying to just straight up just, like, slugfest. Like, Ronda thought she was this crazy boxer at this point, and then get leg kicked. No, I expect Kayla to go in there and grind her down and take her down and throw her around. And if she does that, and let's just say this, you would have some really entertaining, dominant wrestling performances. Not every wrestling domination is going to be a snooze fest.
Yeah.
You really got to throw someone around. Like, think about Khabib. Khabib's fights were entertaining because he was just ragdolling these people.
Of course.
He wasn't just, like, holding them down and just kind of like...
Oh, no, he was tearing them up.
Yeah, he was beating them and talking shit while he did it. But, like, we've talked more about Kayla Harrison than this co-main event because, like, that's how bad it was.
It was very bad. If you guys want to go back and watch UFC 297, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Just watch the main event, which we're about to talk about, because it was actually a really good fight.
Let's do that.
Very entertaining.
Shout out to the women, but let's go on to the real fight.
Let's move on to the controversial main event, UFC 297. Sean Strickland, your defending middleweight champion, versus Dricus du Plessis. I mean, this was a slugfest. This was a good fight. Both men looked pretty bad at the end. That cut Sean had by the end, that was just like it was like a sheet of like paint on his face.
It looked like war paint.
It was kind of like, it was thick. It was really wild. And Dricus's eyes were all messed up. That jab was just getting through every time he wanted. Sean's jab was just like, psh, psh,
oh, it's money. It's money.
psh, just that constant tap to the face. And it's not a tap, but like, you know what I mean? It's just constantly. Psh.
So we differed. I get it. We differed. So
we differed.
By the time the 5th round comes, we both have obviously different opinions. What were your? I know it's like really hard to watch and score at the same time. Mm-hmm. Just to enjoy it as a fan. That's what we are. We're casual fans. I had it 2-2. I had it 2-2.
I definitely try to kind of soft judge around, but it's not always, when I'm first watching a fight. And I should have watched it again just to see if I just watch it wanting to score, how would I have done that?
Yeah.
But I remember going into the 5th thinking it was 3-1 Dricus. And I think problem. No, you know what? I don't think I was very confident with the 3-1. It was like I don't remember which round it was, but there was one round where I was like, I don't know, it could really go to Sean or it could really go to Drekis. And then I had two in my head that were Drekis, and I had one that was definitely Sean. So like, it was close.
Yeah.
And then I think Sean won 5 for sure. So 1 and 5 were definitely Sean. I think 2 might have been the one. 2 or 3 was the one where I couldn't decide. I don't remember which one it was now. And then there were 2 that went Drekis' way. And I think, I remember that fight ending and thinking, okay, I think Drekis probably won. And I think most everyone in the room I was in thought the same. But I said out loud, I could very easily see this going to Sean. I don't really know who won. I don't think this is like there's not a definitive, like, this guy definitely hard won, in my opinion.
And as casual as we are about it, when we differ and we play little verdict games and stuff like that, we're not the kind that, okay, that was definitely Sean's round because I picked Sean. It's like, damn it, Drekis got that one. And we talked about it before we started recording a little bit. Drekis looked like an MMA fighter. I'm not saying Sean didn't, but his game plan was more of an all-around. So
he brought everything to the table. Leg kicks, takedown. The takedowns, I don't think the takedowns is what won him the fight. Some people in the comment, I'm going to the comments because I get sick of them, but like,
sure,
people in the comments are like, yeah, oh, because he had like a couple takedowns, he won the fight. No, it's because like he did everything and he did it well, and he had bombs, he landed body kicks, he landed leg kicks, he did a lot of things that bothered Sean. And Sean's boxing was god tier.
Yeah,
and like, it was tough for him to break through that guard of Sean, but he eventually kind of started landing some really good shots. All that being said, Sean, I still think Sean could have, like, if Sean's hand was raised, I wouldn't have been surprised in any way, shape, or form. I wasn't surprised when Drekis' hand, like, it was just a close fight,
Now, we talked about this a little bit, about diluting, the word robbery and fix and rigged and stuff like that. If you have 5-0 Sean Strickland, and then you have a decision that is unanimous for Drekis, you're like, okay, what the hell's going on here? But for a split decision, it's really, really hard and tough for me to say robbery, because
it's not,
like, what robbery?
There've been robberies. I don't think there've been like big robberies in the last few years. Like, I can't think of like an actual robbery,
Yeah, like, oh my God, what the hell?
Close fights getting called the wrong, like maybe some undercard fights that I can't remember. There's definitely been a few undercard fights where I was like, man, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think the last one I really genuinely believed it could have been a robbery was your boy Patty versus dude Jared.
Come on, man, he snuck away with that one.
I'm gonna even make a defense for Patty. Even while I'm saying that, like, I think Jared Gordon won the fight from the outside. When you're watching a fight, and if you're a judge who's sitting cage side, and every time Patty lands a shot, the crowd goes crazy. The crowd goes crazy, right? That has to get into your head to some degree. You gotta be like, did that shot land harder than like what I perceived it to land, or is he doing more than I think a crowd can sway a fight in a judge's mind. I don't think it was just like, oh, we're going to pick Patty because he's the next star. No, I don't think so. And I don't think they picked Drekis over Sean because of what he said at the press conference, like some people said. I just think Drekis, they had a very close fight, and Drekis won in the judge's mind. And a lot of people's mind, just not in the comments.
It's never going to be in the comments. Robbery, steal.
Most overused word in UFC.
What's next for Drekis?
I don't know. I don't know if it's... I mean, Would I be down to see that run back? I'd be down to see that run back. I'd be down to see the Izzy fight. Let's look at the middleweight rankings real quick. I could see. Did you see Pereira going down? Should I be double champ? I wish you would, and I wish you'd defend the title, but like,
I mean, I think he could.
I've seen that mentioned once or twice. Where's middleweight here?
Izzy's apparently teasing something for UFC 300.
I saw he tweeted or he shared a picture of 300. I assume Izzy will very likely be in the main event of that. Whether it's Alex or Dricus, I don't know. I think the biggest one would be Alex. That would top 300 off pretty huge. Yeah, at 205.
That's such a monster.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to think is next.
I'd run it back with Sean.
I'd like to see that run back one more time. Just to see what happens. But you know what? Even though Sean lost, Sean very much, even if some people thought the fight against Izzy was a fluke, which I didn't, even as an Izzy fan, I didn't think that was a fluke. I think Sean had an excellent game plan, and he had leveled up since he fought Alex. And I think maybe the Alex fight, a big loss like that can level up your game set.
Well, he even trained with him afterwards.
Yeah, but like, and if you didn't believe Sean deserved to be in the top 5 rankings, which I didn't going into the Izzy fight, that fight proves it. Like, even in a loss, like that fight proved, because Dricus just clobbered Robert Whittaker.
Oh man!
Like, what? Like, UFC's crazy. Sean Robert.
Oh,
I'd watch. That'd be a good one if you don't run it back.
What about Sean Paulo after Paulo Costa beats up Robert Whittaker?
Yeah, that would be. You think that's gonna happen?
Dude, I don't know.
What's the last time Paulo Costa's fought?
Dude, 2020? I don't know.
It sounds about right. 2020 or maybe 21.
I don't remember who he fought.
I don't remember, but like middleweight's interesting. Middleweight has a lot of like. Oh, middleweight's pretty stacked.
Middleweight showing the past title defenses, because it was Izzy, and then it was Alex, and then it was Izzy, and then it was Sean, and now it's Dricus. The Izzy streak was over as soon as he lost to Alex, even when he got it back.
Izzy, I mean, his reign was legendary, but like watching it end.
Oh man,
It was insane.
Middleweight is any given day.
Yeah,
any given Sunday, whatever you want to call it. It's anybody's division now, because it's like, okay, well, does Dricus go out and defend? Does he lose it? I wonder what Sean's pay-per-view points look like.
I don't even know. I don't understand pay-per-view points very well. I mean, I get the concept, but like, I also at the same time don't fully understand.
You get your 2 checks, making weight, winning. And if you don't win, then you don't get that, but you get pay-per-view points because you're the champ or whatever. But there was no co-main champ or any of that. Overall, this card was probably about a 4 out of a 10. I'd say I'd give it the life.
3.
I'd give it a 3.5. You've changed.
3.5. If you isolate the main event, the main event was really good. Mm-hmm. Like that was a banger of a main event because those guys went to war. And
ooh! Real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you. Did you see our boy, 2023 meme of the year, Ian Gary, comment on how sloppy the fight was?
I don't want to hear Ian Gary's mouth.
He's like, he's so sloppy. Like, if I ever look like that, just tell me to retire. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, he's 170, right?
Yeah.
What
was sloppy about that?
It was like 5th round, and Sean was like connecting on these haymakers because he's popping that jab and stuff. But he's hitting Dricus with like haymakers, and Dricus, he's getting hit and hurt, and he's not going down. And then Dricus will come back with it was a slobber knocker.
Dricus fights he's kind of like a wild man in that cage. Like, he never looks very technically sound,
Sure.
but like he's coming at you like this like Viking berserker, and he's just bringing like just the overwhelming power, and he connects. I mean, it's the way it doesn't look technically crisp, but like that doesn't always mean you're not a good fighter. They were talking about his size though, and I really thought he'd be bigger than Sean, but I think Sean might have been bigger than Dricus in there.
I think it's just body types because you see Dricus and he's got that V. He goes like down.
He's got this like just jacked looking body.
It's crazy, so sexy. I mean, so in shape. So but if I was to, I don't know, if I was to just give an overall rating, I don't feel like I'm being unfair when I say UFC 297 was about 3.5, 4 out of 10.
It was very bad. It was like it's probably the worst pay-per-view we've watched on here and discussed. Dude,
imagine. So, that being said, I only have 2 more things to talk about, and I'll end on a negative note. But
oh my god.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I just have a special message to somebody. Quick.
I don't even know about this.
Real quick, we're gonna do the meme of the week. It's been a minute. So this goes to all the fellas and even the lady fellas. You can have an opinion on this too.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're all right. I could tell you're a little excited because you know what's coming.
I know what's happening here, dude.
So, meme of the week is a fuck, marry, kill between Laura Sanko,
Jesus,
Megan O'Leary, and Nina. How do you say your last name? Do you know what I'm talking about? Nina Agdal, something like that.
I need to see it because I need to pull up on my computer so
Look
I can see the
at
name.
these fine women here. Fuck,
can you send it?
Kill. Yeah. I can send it.
Well,
to
she
you.
goes by Nina Drama, so like that's her handle. And if you don't know who she is, like she's not on any of the like if you watch UFC strictly and are not on social media, you know who Laura is, you know who Megan is.
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't know who Nina is. She's a
killer YouTube.
She's like social media, YouTube, and she's she used to be really cringy in my opinion, but like I like her UFC content. Like it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
She like, interviews the fighters and does some like weird skits and asks them like weird questions.
Sean Strickland's BFF.
And this, him and her like this apparently. But going around on social media was this, this fuck, marry, kill between these 3 ladies,
which is the funnest game of all time. Even if it turns weird and negative, it's the funnest game of all time.
We're not gonna make it negative. We're gonna, instead of kill, it's knockout. You just knock her out.
Oh my god.
Just knock her out, get her out of there. But she's not dead. I mean, and it fits in the UFC.
Sure.
Fuck, marry, knockout.
You going first?
I want you to go first.
Okay.
Go first.
All right. Man, Laura. Shout out to Laura Sanko. I'm definitely. I'm up in that. I'm up in that. I'm up in that.
Wait, so is that marry or fuck?
That's fuck. That's fuck because I don't.
Oh wait,
man, I don't watch those. Well, I don't watch those Friday pre-shows like the ones where she's with DC and Chris Weidman and all them, and I just don't watch that
on occasion. I do on occasion.
She seems fun. But I need fun, and so I'm knocking Megan O'Leary out. I don't. She's not my cup of tea, dude. And I'm marrying Nina Drama. Now, you can go back a couple months. I actually just got my comment liked from months ago. She's in the Apex and she's doing something, and I commented, "Marry me." Like, just fucking around or whatever. And, dude, the replies were like, "This fucking simp. I don't see how you simp for blah, blah, blah." I'm like,
oh my God, dude. People suck.
Instagram
people are at Instagram, Twitter, all the people on there are the worst. Like, they're just awful. Everyone's in attack mode over everything.
Just because like that's their hub. They don't go outside and interact with real people. So like that's their shit. So fuck, marry, kill. I'm fucking Laura because, she's nice. And I'm knocking out Megan O'Leary. I'm sorry, dude. It's just
That's fair.
My buddy Alex calls her Coke Nose. It's
I mean, she's got a nose. She got a weird nose.
It's awful. And then just I'm marrying Nina. I want some fun, bro. I want some fun, dude. Go ahead, man. Go. I already know where this is going.
If you know me, if you've listened to this podcast for a long time, you got to know I'm marrying Laura Sanko. That is a queen right there. Laura, I mean, she's a fun time on the show. She seems like a good wife. That's a good wife right there. That's a good woman. You know what I'm saying? Laura Sanko.
Can I give you some inside baseball?
Yeah.
I've told you this before, just not on the show. She's got a guy. I think she's married. I'm not sure, but she definitely has a guy. And she's getting interviewed on like, how does your guy feel about you being gone all the time? And when you come home, is he like frustrated and stuff? And she's like, oh no, I don't fuck with that. Like I don't deal with that. I will call one of my girlfriends and being like, hey, will you go take care of him? So when I get home, he's not like frustrated and pent up.
I thought you were joking. I'm not.
No,
I never saw that interview.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'm marrying Laura. That's like not even a question.
All right, cool. I'm with you.
And then the next two, it's a tough call.
Is it?
Beautiful women. These are beautiful women. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I got a thing for a little weird nose. So
no.
Anima, it's the Italian. It's that Italian. She's got beautiful black hair. I'm going Megan O'Leary, and I'm gonna have to knock out Nina Drama. And I don't do this lightly. Like she's very attractive too, but like,
There is our fuck, marry, knockout meme of the week. Now you can join me, or you can do the whole like, hey man, this is your opinion, and you can have it. I want to send a fuck you to Aljamain Sterling.
What? Where did this come from?
I'm about to tell you. This guy, after getting, not flatlined, of course, but after getting just face planted into the canvas and just got all the blood and foot residue from the mat on his fucking stupid dome, he goes out and he's got his little medium, he's got his little talk, whatever, podcast, and he's telling people that UFC 299, O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera, they're stacking up the card to make O'Malley look more like a pay-per-view draw superstar. You have Dustin Poirier, Benoit Saint Denis, which is on and then off and then on again.
It is on. It's officially on, though.
It's officially on. You heard it here first.
So, it doesn't matter.
You have this guy who lost and is not really happy about it, who's going to be happy about a loss. But they're stacking 299 because it's fucking UFC 299. Do you want another card like we just talked about? Do you want a 3 out of 5 for the company? Do you want a 3 or a 3.5 out of 10 for the company? Do you want a 3? What are you talking about? You're a fucking moron. Come see me. And I'll...
Oh, boy. We got Robbie Paul versus Aljo?
Dude.
Man.
I'm so sick of his lame and it got a lot of clicks. But you're so biased and you're so stupid in your thinking that you're not even thinking about the company anymore. You're thinking just like Corey Sandhagen. I like Corey. I follow him on Insta, and he gives really good tutorials on straight rights and using your jab and street fight techniques. And he's really informative and really instructive. He's like, yeah, I guess I need a face tattoo, and I need to start hanging out with rappers, and I need to... Hey, dude, you need to go out and have some fucking creative call-outs. You need to win your fights like you are. He beat Cheeto. Why is Cheeto fighting for the title and Corey beat Cheeto? It's because Corey is fucking a library fight. That's a library fight. He's a snooze fest. Same with Aljo. WrestleFuck. Okay, he submitted Corey. Fight Corey again. Like, there are guys for you, and then... Oh, okay. This is the cherry on top. Who's Aljamain Sterling's next fight, Kyle? Do you know?
I don't remember.
It's Calvin Kattar at 145.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you worried about Sean O'Malley for?
Yeah, if you're in a different division, what are we talking about?
What? Get him out of your head because he's living rent free.
Yeah, 135 is it's your boys' division now, right? What's his name?
I mean, it's
I'm
definitely
terrible with names, but
you know.
and then the thing about the Corey call out, it's like why are you talking shit about Sean? Like that's the champ. He's going to be the main event. Why are you not upset that Cheeto, jumped you even though you beat him? Like that's your guy. You should be. Like if you just said I should be in that fight over Cheeto, sure, you got an argument there. You beat him less than a year ago.
Dude, these guys they get so entitled and they think like, oh, well, I have all these wins. I'm going to get a title shot. It's like, okay, yes, but the UFC have to be strategic. And they know that Sean O'Malley, even though it's against the Sugar Athletic Commission, Sean O'Malley is 16-1. 15-1, 16-1. It was taken.
Cheeto.
It was taken from him by Cheeto.
Cheeto. That's the O. It's Cheeto. He is the O, or he's the one.
He's the one. He's the one.
Fucking Paul Heyman shit here.
It's all good. It's all good. But that's the guy that Sean O'Malley lost to. Sean O'Malley lost to his body. Sean O'Malley lost to his leg. He lost to the leg and
Sean has some leg issues.
That's who he lost to. He didn't lose to Cheeto. And that's not me.
That's his mind.
That's
You know what? I do believe Corey deserves a title shot at some point.
Mm-hmm.
However, as far as the main event, Cheeto goes for knockouts.
Yeah.
Cheeto goes to knock you out. Sean wants to knock you out.
Well, on the O'Malley Sterling card, Cheeto fought on that card, and he had a snooze fest against another whatever fighter. I don't want to call him out because I actually like him.
Did?
Cheeto had a whatever fight against. I don't remember his name for the life of me.
Let's look it up. We got Tom. Sure. Cheeto.
It was his last win. It's gonna kill me. It's a Brazilian.
You like a Brazilian?
No, I don't like him.
Oh, Pedro?
Yeah, Pedro Munoz.
Was that not one of those weird ones?
It's a decision.
No.
Just a decision.
What was the Pedro fight that was kind of like? Oh, it was against Sean O'Malley.
Yeah,
that was the kind of like
eye poke.
What the hell?
Yeah, eye poke finish.
Here? So I mean, like, just think about like the KOs, the Frankie Edgar KO, the Dominic Cruz KO. Like, oh my god, those were just nasty. And he was losing. Like, Cheeto, in my opinion, and not always because he's won some decisions. So I'm like, this is kind of like some of these fights with some of the upper talent. He's not winning on points. Dominic was winning that fight, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he goes for that just like, boom, brutal knockout.
A killer. He's a killer, and I'm worried for Sean. But Sean's always rose to the occasion when he had to. He beat Peter Yan. He face tats aside, hanging out with rappers and celebrities aside.
Those tattoos away from him, he's still one of the cleanest strikers in the entire UFC.
And so a match between him and Corey would be awesome. What are you going and crying on Ariel for? Come cry on our show, and we'll set you straight.
Come to the CCMMA studios here in sunny Greenville, South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? That's where the real fighters come to talk. Is this podcast, not the Joe Rogan Experience or the Cheeto Vera Experience or the. I'm not going to call it the Anik and Florian podcast.
Dude,
those guys.
I'll call out somebody real quick. You have our boy Ariel Helwani. That's not who I'm calling out. I've been with Ariel since 2013, 2014. And so I want to call out Brett Okamoto for yesterday's news of this Dustin Poirier Benoit Saint Denis. Of course,
Ariel, that shit was all over the place.
Dude, Ariel reaches out first and mix up here and there, and he's getting on time like text back. And then you have hours later on Twitter, ESPN Brett is like, hey, so I got this message straight from DP Dustin Poirier. Bro, we already know. What are you doing? You missed the scoop. You missed the scoop, dude.
Where yesterday the Dustin Poirier Benoit Saint Denis fight was called off, and then within 5 hours, it was back on.
Dude, Dana was like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?"
Yeah, I think Dustin. I think Dustin didn't understand that it had been signed or something.
Well, him and his manager, he's like, "My bad, me and my manager didn't."
Miscommunication there.
Huh?
Like, how does that happen? But why did he even tweet? Like, why did he even tweet that? Hey, the fight's off.
I just miscommunication. Didn't get the money he wanted, but DP's getting paid now.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's really the end of the show. I just wanted to send a huge fuck you to Aljamain Sterling. I didn't know if you were gonna ride with me on that, but just really anybody else in the bantamweight division, the Umar Nurmagomedov, like these guys that feel like, oh, I got a couple decision wins. I'm gonna go out and shine, and I should be champ. It's like, are you doing what you need to do inside and outside of the cage? Joe Rogan puts a mic in your face, like Uncle Chael says. What do you got? Do you have anything? Did you even prepare to win? Oh, it's a win or lose. It's like, okay, but did you prepare for either? And, I'll end on that. This has been the Couch Casuals. I am one of your hosts, Robert Dylan Vasquez, with my lovely host,
Kyle DiOrio. We love you. We want you to sit on our couch. Goodbye.